And our expert in elder law, Gary Price, is back with more on Medicaid and those living in the middle class. Gary, I'm guessing we're talking about this because there's a misconception out there.
There always
and
is,
we probably
isn't
need
there?
to myth bust here.
There is. You know, I'm not quite sure what the middle class means anymore.
Right.
It's
well, I was going to ask you to define it.
You know it when you see it, maybe. Same with the upper class, but there is a misconception. That misconception is, and we've talked about this, that people don't even, when long-term care or in-home care becomes a reality, they dismiss Medicaid immediately, thinking, oh, I make too much money, or we've got too much stuff. We wouldn't qualify. And that's the misconception that the middle class and upper class, for that matter, often have. And as a result, they don't look into it. And as a result, they don't find out what benefits they are entitled to, even though they are middle class or even though they are upper class. So they need to at least look into it to see what their options are. You know, they may be right. Middle class won't be right. There's always a Medicaid option for them. The upper class, you know, depending on what that means and what they have, that may not be, you know, they may not be entitled to Medicaid immediately, but then again, they may, so they ought to look into it.
Well, that's one of the conversations that you have with your clients when they come is, you know, how do you shelter assets and all of those things, because we all, no matter how many times we've had this conversation, people still believe that you have to spend everything and or the nursing home's going to get it. We talk about that all the time.
That's right. There's certain phrases or words that everyone seems to have heard of, and one is spin down. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about spin down. Spin down doesn't necessarily mean what it sounds. And so, you got to look at your options. And your options are not based on, there's just not one option fits all. The options are based on what resources you actually have, and that's the discussion we need to have.
So, you know, you've got people come to you to create their plans, but getting the word out to everybody else who maybe is not even thinking about it. And I'll be honest, I mean, I didn't think about it either till I met you. I mean, I did not think about even asking about it. And I guess that's my question to you. How do you, besides being on the show, stimulate people's curiosity? So I need to find out about this now when I don't need it.
Yeah.
When everything is fine.
I haven't figured that one out, Angie, other than being on the show.
Well, glad to help.
I go around and talk at locations, but unfortunately, the word that often spreads is the bad news.
Yes.
People really like to talk about the bad stuff. And bad things happen to people who, oh, I make too much. I'm not even going to look into my Medicaid option. And then they lose a lot. They spend down by spending all their money with the nursing home, let's say, for example, and they're the ones that talk because they just got really hit. And it didn't have to be that way, but bad news seems to travel a whole lot faster than good sometimes.
Urban legends always do. So how much of this do you discuss in the book, and how much do you kind of need to be one-on-one to talk about? Yeah,
so generally speaking, the misconceptions the book talks about. You know, if you recall, the book talks about a lot of the things that people ask, the questions mm-hmm. that people ask in that first meeting. So the book does discuss that quite a bit. But then the book can't discuss your resources, your situation specifically. That's what we need to talk about.
And how do we get that book, Gary Price?
Just call my office, 812-475-8444.
Good to see you. I'm glad you dried out.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more Life Topics right after this.